All right, guys. So there's 16 of us in here. We're waiting for a few of you. If your name is the same as just your regular name, you can just say hi. But I know some people have nicknames on YouTube. Okay, we're at 17 now. We're waiting for one more. All right. So, all right, how does my sound? Can you hear me? Does it sound okay? I'm about 10 seconds behind you guys. So I have like a 10-second lag from you guys talking to me to me going live with this. So let me know. Sounds good? All right, that's good. And everyone's here. Oh, we lost someone. Everyone was here. Yeah, sounds good. All right, so I do suggest that you guys maybe try and draw with me a little bit on this, and I'm going to try and make it as clear as possible, but it is kind of confusing because we're going from a picture instead of a still life. So even if you're drawing along with me, maybe you might want to find like a really simple object or two simple objects in your studio, or not your studio, sorry, your dorm rooms or wherever you're living, and use those and be citing from life instead of from the image that we have on the screen. You can use the image you have on screen too, but it might be a little bit more clear to you guys if you have like the objects actually sitting in front of you. First thing I want to go over is how to hold your arm. So your arm has to be straight, right? Completely straight, arm locked. Don't bend your arm at all when you're doing this, because if I measure here and I'm using this unit of measure and citing everything with my arm straight, and then I suddenly go to here, it's going to change everything. Like this, having your arm locked allows for consistency. All right. So always have your arm locked when you're sighting. And this is what it's going to look like. You know, you're going to be kind of looking like this. You're always going to have your eyes shut. Another thing that helps is that I never trained myself to do this, but it is actually helpful, and you probably should, since you're learning, start to do this, is putting your head to one side or the other while you're sighting. That way, whenever you go down or up, it's like your head's kind of moving with your arm, and it's not creating a bunch of, it's going to be the most accurate way to measure. If you have your head up, you can still do it, but there might be some inaccuracies along the way. All right, so when I'm measuring, so I'm measuring this ball over here. I'm going to use that as my unit of measure, and right now we're measuring for relative proportions, okay? Relative proportions. All right, I write sloppy, and I'm pretty confident that I spelled that wrong. So I'm measuring this ball. So what I want you guys to do, measure this still life or the image with me. It might be easier. I want you to keep your arm straight, line the point of your pencil up with the ball, or even charcoal, whatever you're using, or the sighting stick, up with the top of the ball. So the very top of my pencil is lined up with the top of the ball. And then you're going to put your thumb at the very, very bottom of the ball, all right? So I have my pencil at the top of the ball and my thumb at the bottom of the ball. Now I'm keeping my arm straight, all right? And I'm keeping my measurement exactly the same. I'm not moving my arm at all. And now I'm going to go to the top of the bottle. I'm not moving anything. I have the measurement of the ball already. And I'm putting the pencil at the top of the bottle, all right? And then I'm going to count down how many balls fit into this bottle, right? So I have the pencil at the top of the bottle, the thumb at the bottom of the bottle, which was the measurement of the ball, and I'm going to count down how many balls fit into this bottle. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4. There's about 5 balls that fit into that bottle. I don't remember what it was in the image. I think it might have been actually like 4. There's going to be a little bit of variety in it, but what you're trying to do is, with that measurement of the ball, whenever I'm counting down, I'm taking the tip of this and I'm trying to line the tip up with the bottom of the last measurement I just took. Is that making sense to you guys? Are you guys following along and doing this with me? So let me draw it out for you too. So here is my ball. All right, this is the size I want my ball to be. I could also do it, let me do it really tiny down here too. This is my ball. It's all relative. Oh, you can't see it down there. There we go. This is my ball. So it's relative in the size. On your drawing, when you're translating it from the measurements in the image to the measurements in my drawing, it's all relative. So since I'm drawing the ball this big, doing it helps for sure. Yeah, I'm sure. So when I'm drawing the object this big, everything is going to be in proportion to this big. If I drew the ball massive, everything is going to be in proportion to that. Drawing the ball tiny, so I'll draw it each way so you guys can see everything's going to be relative to this. So this is my unit of measure, all right? Unit of measure. I just made it in, oh, okay, Boomer. You might have to watch the first half again. So I think you can like rewind it and be just a little bit like delayed behind on us. All right, so this is my unit of measure. This is what I'm drawing from. Again, on my tiny image, my unit of measure. Let me just draw. So this is my sighting stick, okay? I'm gonna draw what I'm doing when I'm holding this up and doing all this. It's my pencil. I'm lining up the top of my pencil with the top of the ball. This is my thumb, right? Ugly thumbnail. I'm lining up the top of my thumb with the bottom of the ball. So this is what's happening on the pencil right here. I then took it and I counted about 5 balls that go into the bottle, right? And it could be off because it's such a tiny image. It might actually just be 4. So now I'm taking this. You can actually draw on your stick if you want and have an exact measure, or you can do it with your fingers. I'm going to just keep my hands here. I'm doing 1, 2, 3, and let me cite that again because I don't think it's 5. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, it's 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 balls make the height of that bottle. So now I know that the bottle is about that high, right? Because I counted how many balls go into it. Is this making a little bit more sense? Okay, Andrew. Now I'm going to measure the width of it. So how many balls go into the width? And I'm always using the same exact unit of measurement. So I'm going to measure my ball again. Top of the ball, bottom of the ball. Then I'm going to turn my hand like this, right? And I'm going to start with the left side of the bottle. I'm putting the top of my pencil at the left side of my bottle. And I'm counting over. So there's 1, 2 and a half. There's about 2.5 balls that go into that. So I'm taking this, taking my ball, my unit of measure. There's about 1, 2, and then about a half a ball, right? And a half. So my bottle actually, the bottom of my bottle is about this size. All right, is this making sense to you guys now that we're kind of doing it in person, the counting and stuff? It takes practice to do. So I know, I think I might have measured from the widest part of the bottle. So you will have to measure like the smallest part of the bottle and also the top to get it really, really accurate. But I got like a general relationship between these two things. And it might be a little off, and I normally measure over and over and over again to make sure everything's correct. So I got the height. Now I'm going to count how many balls it is until the nose of the bottle starts, all right, because it starts to veer in and get skinnier. So the width of it's gonna change. So I'm gonna see how many balls up that width changes. 1. Oh, it's about one ball. So, and I already have that measurement here. And it probably veers up a little bit too. So now I know that this kind of goes a little bit like this. It looks a little off to me. And you could measure the whole nose up, which I would do eventually. But just to get like a general summary of what we're doing, that's kind of the proportion relationship to it. We still have a half hour. Is this making more sense to you guys? Oops, let's see. The apple in the cup. This will be a really easy one. Oh, I forgot to do the small one. I'll show you that later. Yeah, it's making more sense to you. We're going to do another one in relative proportions. We're going to do this apple in this cup. And then we have some time. We're going to get through all 3 of them. So we're going to do relative proportions. It's the hardest one to get. And then measuring for angles, and then measuring for alignments. Alignments and angles are really easy to do. It makes sense. Okay. So again, an easy object. Oh, also something, let me go back to that other one we were just doing. Say we didn't have the little ball there to measure from, because you're not always going to have a ball. For the first still life that I set up, I think I put a bunch of balls everywhere to help you guys. But say you were just trying to measure the bottle against itself, like height and width, trying to get everything. You might want to use so say I'm drawing the bottle out, and I want to use the nose of the bottle as my unit of measure. So here's the nose of the bottle. I roughly drew it. Everything will be in relative proportion to the nose of the bottle. So I'd put my pencil at the top of the nose of the bottle, and then at the bottom of where I want to measure, and I'll count down how many noses of the bottle there is. There's 1 and about 1/4. So 1 and a little more. So now I know the general height of the bottle. Now I'm going to take the nose of the bottle again, because that's my unit of measure, and I'm going to do the width. And I'm doing the widest part right now. So there's 1 and about 1/4 again. 1/4. Hold on. It is easy. If you have those skewers, I always draw on my skewer. My pencil right now is black, so I can't see any of like my mark lines. They also make citing pencils, if anyone ever wants to use a citing pencil. And so it's about 1 1/4. So I know that's about the width of the top, and then I would have to measure in as it veers down, like we said before. All right, so that's how you can measure an object against itself. Or you could even do something as small as using like the width of the bottle nose as the unit of measure. So you would, you would put your top of your citing stick here and your thumb down here, and then you would use that width as the unit of measure for everything. You could do that too. But that gets really small, and I feel like if your unit of measure is way too small, if you're even off like a slight increment of a measurement, it's going to be it's going to really distort the object. Whereas if it's kind of, it's not too big that you're going to be, using the whole height of this bottle against something like a little ball, that it might be a little bit harder to see the measurements. And it's not too small that your increments might be off by a ton. That's what you kind of want to look for, somewhere in the middle. All right, let's go to let's do another drawing for the apple and stuff. Okay. So again, I put something in there easy while you guys are learning. We're going to use this apple as the unit of measure. So again, depends on the proportions that you want it to be on your paper. I'm going to draw it this big. So that's my unit of measure. And now I want to see how many cups this apple fits into. So I'm putting the top of my pencil at the apple, my thumb at the bottom. I'm counting the height. So it's 1. And and if you have shaky hands like me, it's a little hard to do some of this. It's about 1, a little over 1. So I'm going to take my pencil. There's 1, and it went just slightly over 1 apple. All right, and then I'm going to see the width of it. And the width is, what are you guys getting for the width? I'm just curious. When you're measuring the width of the cup from the apple, what did you guys get? I don't want to move forward until you guys answer. Got 1. Anyone else? Did anyone get anything different, or did you get 1 too? So I think it's 1 if you're measuring from the point edge of the apple over, a little over 1. Yeah, and if you go up to see how above the apple the cup is actually a little bit wider? If you are measuring from that point, it's a little over 1. So my apple might not be perfectly round. I'm using my unit of measure. I'm measuring the height of it, the height of the apple. So I have to use the height of the apple as my unit of measure every time. I can't just now take the width of the apple and start using it. It always is going to have to be the height of the apple because that's what I started with. If you have something that's perfectly round, then it won't really matter, but most things in a still life aren't going to be perfectly round. So now I'm taking the height of my apple again. Taking that measure. I turned it to count. All right, so I didn't just take the width of the apple now and go over. I had to take the height of the apple again and turn it to count. All right, so now I got a little over 1. And I can see that the cup aligns somewhere in there. So there's 1, and then slightly over 1. So it's somewhere in there that the cup is. So now you have the relative proportions of the cup to the apple. Oops, that goes over like that. All right, does that make sense to you guys? And then you can start, drawing in all your forms and all that stuff. Like 1.5. It's probably like 1 1/4 instead of 1.5. So you have to really pay attention to those like little like micro measurements. Because a half apple is actually like, if you're doing 1 and then you're doing a half, that's like all the way out here. Because you would actually have to take the full, sorry, I'm kind of blocking that off, the full half of an apple. Whereas a 1/4 is like right there, So if there's like a little slither on the edge, just a little bit, I normally just say that's about a 1/4, 1/4 inch, all right? I mean, there's 1/16 and 1/8 and everything, but I kind of break it down into the simplest measurements. Do you guys want to cite for relative proportion a little bit more, or do you want to go into citing for alignments? when I look over here, it's because my clock's blocked by my light. We'll save for alignments, and then we'll go back and we'll kind of use all of them to help us. So let me find something. Yeah. All right, so here's one. Let's look. Oops. Well, actually, let's use this one first because it's really simple and it'll get the point across. So right now we're going to say for horizontal alignments. All right. So again, I'm starting with my ball because it's easy. And now I want to see at what point the bottom of the cup intersects into the ball. So I'm putting my pencil up and I'm lining the whole edge of the pencil up with my cup, and I'm keeping it parallel at the bottom of my cup. And I can see that it intersects probably about a 1/4 inch up from the apple. So I know that the bottom of the cup now starts in this area right here. Does that make sense to you guys? So it's just slightly above the apple. And now I'm going to see where the cup intersects, where the right side of the cup, not the handle, but the edge of the actual mug is intersecting with the apple. Oh, I forgot we're doing, never mind. We're doing horizontal alignments. Now I'm seeing where the top of the apple is intersecting on the cup. So, and these are called like landmarks, these like little intersection points. So right now I'm measuring the top of this apple right here and where it's intersecting on the cup, okay? And the top of the apple, what do you guys see? About how far up is the apple intersecting onto the cup? I want to see what you guys got. If you need me to keep going because you're not quite understanding yet, we can do that too. I just want to see if anyone has an answer. Okay. No one's answering me. Remember, I'm delayed, so I'm kind of just sitting here waiting for you guys to read to get to my questions. All right, so I'm seeing where this part of the apple aligns on the cup. And I think it's about 3/4 up on the cup, which means there's, again, I'm going to say about a 1/4 of the cup left. So if this is 3/4 of the cup right here, there's about that much more cup above the apple. So this is the top of the cup. And I can break it down even more. I just did the very top of the cup. I didn't do the bottom of the top of the cup where the ellipse is, where you would, drink out of, but we'll do that too. So we'll see where that bottom part aligns. And my pencil is really thick. Are you guys using pencils or are you guys using the skewer things? Because this is really thick, so now I'm getting to like these little measurements and my pencil is basically like blocking off. It's blocking off the entire measurement. It's like covering the whole thing up. So a thinner setting stick is always better. The skewer, okay, good. That'll help you guys a lot more. So, pencil. Yeah, the pencil's thick, so if you have like really small measurements, it might be a little harder to see because it's going to block off it's going to like chop off a good portion of what we're seeing here. So, now I got using both. Okay, yeah, using both is a good idea. Because honestly, when you're using the pencil or your charcoal or your vine charcoal, I use vine charcoal a lot when I'm doing this. it is nice to be able to sight and then kind of make your marks as you're going, especially when you're sighting for angles. All right, so we know where the alignment is of the cup onto the apple, and then the top of the apple intersecting with the with the cup, and then how far above the top of the cup is from the apple here. Now I want to see, I'm going to start aligning horizontals now. So I'm going to see how far the edge of this cup intersects into this apple. So right now I'm lining this up with the right side of the cup. How much are you guys getting? Like, how far into the apple is this cup intersecting? That might be a little too much that I just drew. But I got probably about a quarter again. See how much, there's only like this much of the apple coming out from where I measured the cup. Is that what you guys got? And then a lot of times what I do, and this is just going to take practice in general, I'll take like the tip of my pencil for a horizon. Yeah, okay, good. For the horizon, or horizontal, to get the horizontal edge of this cup, I'll take the tip of my pencil, I'll line it up with the left side of the cup, and I'm just trying like see about how much space I guesstimate between the apple and itself. But this is at the point where you can maybe take this apple and use the unit of measure to see how far that cup goes out. So you want to use all of these together as tools to like help get the relative proportions accurate to one another. All right, so now I'm going to see where the handle the edge of the handle intersects on this apple. So I'm taking a vertical, I'm lining my pencil up with the very edge of this apple. How far are you guys getting? It's going to be different probably if you have a pencil or a skewer, because the pencil is going to block out half of it. But how far into the apple, measurement wise, is the edge of the handle intersecting? Is it intersecting a quarter in, a half inch in, 3/4, 1/8, 1/16? No answers. Oh, I think I don't know how. I think I'm like 10 seconds late. It's a pretty far delay here. Half? Anyone else? What'd you guys get? I don't know what I got. I can't remember anymore. Yeah, I got about half too. So about halfway through the apple is where the edge, half, is where the edge of that cup handle intersects. And then I can go in down from the cup and I can see where, half's right. Oh, you guys are getting it. Right, good. Now I can see where the handle of the cup, how far down the horizontal line intersects into the cup. Like, so the top of the handle, where does that intersect on the cup? So I'm lining my pencil up right now with the very top of the handle, and I'm seeing how far down from the top of the cup it goes. And I just got like the tiniest bit, so it starts about right there. Right? So I have all these basic measurements now. I can start drawing in my objects a little bit better, make them a little bit more cohesive, erase out measurement lines. When you're doing homework, I don't want you to erase out measurement lines because I want to see that you're actually like doing it, because in the past I've had students not have to leave their work and then they just draw the objects and pretend like I can just see when you're not doing the work. I don't know if like, I think whenever a student's not trained to see things a certain way, they don't realize how like glaringly obvious it is that I can tell that you're not following the technique that I'm having you guys do, and that you're just skipping skipping ahead, or like say if you're just a skilled drawer, you're just drawing the apple in the cup, because obviously if you can just see really well, it's just easy to draw the apple in proportion to the cup. But I want you to, for this part, it's really easy, but whenever you start breaking down a face, you can actually sight out your whole face and get the proportions and measurements really close together from each other. So even if you're really good at drawing, you can just look at something and draw it, and it looks pretty good in relationship to one another, proportion-wise and scale-wise. Whenever you start getting to more complex and complicated things, this can help you. So it's a tool in your toolbox. So if you're good at drawing, still follow along and do these techniques. And then whenever you need them, you can pull them out of your toolbox and use them. And then when you don't need them, you can kind of just keep them there, you know? All right. So do you guys think you're understanding sighting for alignments, vertical and horizontal alignments pretty well? What time is it? All right, we don't have that much time left. So I'm going to show you how to sight for angles now. And then we can kind of, if we have time, we'll do one all together. But I do want to go over your homework with you guys real fast, because I forgot to do it after the PowerPoint presentation. Enough anyways? Okay. Angles. Not too difficult. It's really not too difficult. Oh, whoops. I'm not sure which. All right, so we're gonna do this box, and we're gonna sight for angles, and then we're gonna do this kind of fast, and then we're gonna do one where we're sighting for the axis line. So if we're sighting for angles on this box, and it's you might get the angles right, but then you might get the spacing wrong on the boxes. And people think boxes are easy to draw, but they're very, very hard to draw. And I know professors that have had students just draw an entire semester of boxes and chairs and just get the perspective and the proportions and the sighting and the angles all right on everything. And you would probably learn a lot doing that, but it would be a boring semester. So what I'm doing right now is I'm sighting the angle. And this one is going to be tricky for all of us, to be honest, because normally what we would want is the paper to be parallel to us, or at least like somewhat parallel to us. So if you have your drawing boards and have them kind of flipped over, try and keep them like maybe a little bit straighter. And you do have to have some space in between. So normally, I'm trying to figure out how to do this one, to show this one. I would line my pencil up with the angle. So right now I'm going into the, how do I describe this? The top plane of the box that's closest to us. Does that make sense to you guys? That's what I'm measuring. And my measurements are going to be wonky because I can't actually do it properly without my paper being up. Since my paper's flat, there's no way I'm going to be able to measure this. But what you want to do is you want to line your pencil up with an angle, and you want to keep it at the angle. And then normally what you do, say my paper is over here, this is my paper, keep your arm straight, just bring that angle over, and just draw the exact angle that you already have. So it's actually the easiest thing to measure, but the way we're drawing right now, or at least that I'm drawing, it's very hard to draw. So you have to keep the edges, the pencil up to the edge, any of the edges. So it could be the bottom edge, the top edge, either of the vertical sides. Line it up to the edge, keep your arm straight, say my paper's here, and then I would just take my pencil and actually draw exactly the angle, because I'm capturing it in real time and I'm just translating it to my paper this way. It's not going to change. If I go up or down, it might change a little bit. Is that making sense to you guys? It's hard because I like literally can't show you this one. Sorry. It is the easiest one to do. So I let me see. You're going to see my desk real quick. All right. Let me change some things in my OBS and see if we 16 minutes. All right. hold on real quick. Let's see if this will work. Ah, shoot. Okay, so I'm just moving some things around as fast as I can. Okay. All right. So, we're drawing the box. I'm doing the bottom of the box right now. I'm lining my pencil up with the edge of the box and keeping my arms straight, my eyes shut. Got a lot of room in between. Just straight up, just moving my hand, keeping it straight, keeping the pencil at the same angle over this way, and just marking it in. So I captured the angle, and I'll show you guys this after. I'll put it back flat after, even though I just kind of ruined all my settings. Now I'm doing the left side of the box. I'm lining up my pencil with the very edge of it, and I'm just trying to keep my angle as straight as possible while moving over. Don't keep your arm like this, and then when you move, go like that, because guess what? You just changed everything and you ruined everything. So left edge of the box over, capturing that angle. And also, I'm moving back and forth like this, so I'm still kind of changing things. Ideally, you would be positioned just like in one spot and not moving back and forth so much. Now I'm doing the left side of the box that's closest to me, so it appears as it's the front of the box, but the right side. I don't know if I just switched up my left and rights, but I did the left side first and the right side. Now I'm doing the top of the box, lining my pencil up with the edge of the top of the box, bringing it over, putting it in real fast. Now I'm doing the bottom angle that kind of angles back and connects to the back of the box. So the bottom part of the box on the right side. Bottom right side of the box, or back right side of the box, sorry. Top angle of the box that connects the front and the back on the right side. All right, and I'm doing the very back of the box, the top edge. And I'm just lining my pencil up with these angles, keeping my arm straight, and then bringing it over. All right, so. All right, rough draft. I'm making myself tiny for right now. That is what that looks like. All right. And I want you to pay attention. So whenever you're drawing boxes and doing the angles like this, you got to pay attention to the spacing between things. All right. You can measure an angle and then put it all the way out here. And then your box perspective gets really funky and warped. So you do have to pay attention to the spacing of a few things, like about how far is this line to that line? How far is this edge to this edge? How far is this edge to this edge? How far is this edge to this edge? Just when you're generally even mapping things in, and then you take any of the other setting methods, your unit of measure, say you had something next to it, and you count over. Okay? Really fast, we're going to go over how to do axis lines really quickly. I just want something super easy. All right, so if I'm doing an axis line, same thing with the angles. You want your paper to be more parallel. So I'm gonna line like the center line of the banana up, and then I would, again, the same way I was doing it with the angles, but instead of doing the edges of the bananas, I'm doing the center of the bananas, and I'm measuring the center line of the bananas. That way I know the angle that they're on. So, if that one's confusing, we'll go over it next class. So I think we should meet back in Discord. I'm going to go over the homework assignment. We'll talk for the last few minutes because we don't really have that much time. And that is it. All right, so I will see you guys in Discord, and then I'm going to go over the homework that you guys have for this, for citing. Okay? All right, see you guys there. Bye.